Hello, in this video I'm going to tell you what you can expect what we are going to do in the course. We are going to make a substrate for mosaic making, and the idea is to make a lot of samples so that you get the feel of it, to get the hang of it and know what to do if you one day move on to a bigger scale project. So what we are going to tackle in this course is we are going to make 3 samples on a different substrate, on a different base. So we're going to make one with chicken wire at the back, one with a mesh at the back, and one with nothing at the back. So by then you know exactly what is suitable for your next project, if you want to go bigger, and you get just a feel of how it goes with all the material, with the cement adhesive, and with some adding materials we also use for our little samples. So that is what we're going to do, and then in the demo part of this video course, I'm going to give you some ideas of how to decorate it, and that could be with a mosaic. You can all see that, you know, in the slideshow later in the course. We can do it with mosaic and smalty, we can do it with smalty and beads, or we can just partly mosaic it, or just add other materials we still have in the house or just want to buy for it. So the possibilities are endless for this course. So what you take away from this course is a lot of skills you can use for future mosaic or for mosaic on its own. Not only making different substrates so that you can always go back to it, but even, you know, decorate it in a different way than you might use to it. So from all the skills you learn here, there is something you are probably going to incorporate into your future mosaics, and that is the whole idea. Learn as much as possible, take away what is going to be good for you or suitable for your next project that you have in mind. And you know, in this course, because you own it, you can always go back, you know, even years later when you're thinking, oh yeah, the substrate, I can do it 2 days substrate, and then you can go back to the course and refresh your memories. So yeah, I think it is we're going to do a lot, and I think you also take away a lot.
Karla, thank you so much for joining us once again here at Mosaic Arts Online. I am so thrilled to have this course here. It is so unique, and it really blends well with your other course here for Mosaic and Beads on your underlying painting. So combining the two now, I mean, wow, so happy to have this here.
Okay, thank you, Tammy. Yes, that sounds like a brilliant idea, so I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, that is absolutely an option.
Yeah, and so before we kind of dive in more in the course, what inspired you to start this type of mixed media mosaic? Because we know it's mixed media with the underlying painting, but now we have these undulations and real kind of movement on the substrate.
Yes. It was already a long time ago. You know, I'm always looking for different applications. And when I was living in Switzerland, I learned to make sculptures from chicken wire, and that has always been in the back of my mind. I'm still doing that, but not so much anymore, because, you know, I move on and I move on, always move on. So now I went to step back, because last year there was an exhibition here in a little village, a fine art exhibition of textile artists, and they wanted to have other artists collaborate with the textile artists. So from a complete different media, they just put us together. So I was put together with a girl who was making beautiful art from very realistic from fabric and stitches. And so now we had to make a plan to combine ours. So I have been a textile artist in my previous life, a long time ago. And so I actually went back to what I have been doing, but then with textile. So I was making wall hangings at the time, you know. And I was thinking, well, I can do those wall hangings, but then I make them of concrete, of this material we're going to use in course, and then I can make a mosaic on it. So then it looks like a wall hanging, but it isn't. And then we can use that for other applications. And because I had the skills of the sculpture making with the chicken wires, I thought, well, that is a brilliant idea. And of course, you know, when I was making this, like me, I always make a whole batch of everything just to see how it works and which technique is the best. So I also used some other base materials for this particular work, like the mesh and the cloth only drenched in cement adhesives, and that also worked. But that works more for little projects, and then the chicken wire, that works for big projects. And then I also use this for my application with paint and beads and for my ocean series. So yeah, that all came together, and then I added actually more fabric and more stuff on it, whatever I found in my cupboard I had to buy. And yeah, so one thing leads to another. And so now I can show everybody those three methods. So it is basically a course that is about making the samples for the substrates for mosaic making. And to me, always, you know, at the end of the day, my samples always end up like a little artwork, but it doesn't have to be, because it are samples you're making, you're experimenting with what is possible. And it is also a good way, you know, to make all three of them in small before you start making a big one. And then you have the option to what works best for you if you want to go forward with making a bigger substrate. So that's why samples. Yeah.
Right. You can learn on the small scale, but then it can be scaled up, especially the way you teach this technique with the chicken wire, which I'd never seen before. And I just think is phenomenal. And before we go any farther, I guess I forgot to say that Karla is in South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa. I'm in California, and it's one of our just greatest joys that we can teach and offer this course remotely, so that she could not come to the studio, but we are here able to share all the same, you know, production value and knowledge and experience that Karla has. So can someone that's really never done mosaic art get into this technique easily, like good for beginners? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, let's put it this way. You know, somebody who comes to your website is already a creative, and so so therefore it is possible. I would say that somebody who would never ever have cut a tile or used tesserae or made even a small mosaic, then it's a bit too much in one go. That's really the step to take. But if you have done a little mosaic and you've got some materials already in the house, you know, then you can easily do that, because I mix and match so many materials. So you also don't really have to put tesserae on it, and you can straight go ahead with putting beads on it. So in that perspective, you can start as a beginner. So it depends how you choose your materials, because there are so many options. It doesn't have to be mosaic on it.
Right.
And you can mix and match or only do whatever.
That's the beauty of it, is the mixed media part, the sculptural part of it. It really can translate to lots of different places. And it's just so great. And if you don't have the beads and the buttons to work with, what other materials do you recommend that can work for any of the tesserae?
You can use any tesserae you still have or you get from other people, whatever. I have used smalty, and I've used just glass in small pieces, and I have used the little squares, and I have used beads. And so yeah, even if you don't have any mosaic material in the house, you could do that, but it's nice if you have, and then you cut it in pieces. And then not everybody has got smalty, so I understand that, but you don't really have to, but it's just a nice addition. But you can also do this with glass and cut tesserae.
And what about?
Basically, everything that you can press into a layer of cement adhesive you can use. So I have used beads, all kinds of beads. I love the flat ones because you can stack into the cement adhesive halfway, and then they just stick. And then everything you have left in your box of mosaic materials and glass, And then because we were doing textile, of course, I incorporated all this these threads. I actually spray painted them in the color I wanted to have them, and the tassels. But I also here I have put some colored fabric, and you can either color it, paint it yourself, or you can use a piece that's already there. And I also used the mesh again, so that the mesh sticks out. I've done that a couple of times, you know, with this as well, that you put different fabric over it to get a texture effect. So anything you can find in your house, you can actually press into the cement, play around.
China crockery, any kind of crockery or small pieces of china.
The crockery only, I think, when it is a bit fine, not too big.
Exactly, not too heavy.
Because as you can see, you know, that gets too heavy. Yeah, it gets definitely too heavy, and it's sort of fine art, more fine than really chunky.
Yes.
Yeah, not too chunky.
Not too chunky.
No,
well, I cannot thank you enough for bringing this course to Mosaic Arts Online. This is just such a creative and more expansive with this substrate and what you teach. I'm just so grateful that we were able to do this again, Karla. So thank you so much.
Yeah. It was a pleasure. I love sharing what I do and talk forever about it, but I suppose we've got to stop. But people can always just email me and talk to me. So I'm always willing to tell whatever you have to do or whatever you want to hear. So that's maybe nice to do.
Thank you. Yes, we love it. We're so grateful. Thank you, Karla.
Thanks, Danny, for having me. And I hope one day to come to your studio and make a live course.
Yes, we would love that. We would love that so much.